welcome to Vlogmas Day 19, and to nobody's surprise, I made another hat. As I said yesterday, the day before, I'm incapable of doing anything by halves. I'm either like full in hyper focused on this one thing I want to do and everything else just kind of like fades into the background, or I'm not interested really at all, which is why I find it difficult to complete projects. Especially projects like, 4-ply kind of stuff. Anyway, I made another hat, as you can see, using the AliExpress knitting machine. I think I've got the hang of it now. I am definitely sort of understanding more how it works. I looked up some like patterns and ideas today, so I put this one together in a slightly different way. The other one I sort of just like made a long thing and then kind of haphazardly folded it on itself, and I was like, yeah, this works, it looks like a hat. But this one, I came across several different blogs and stuff that said this, and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm not very spatially aware, like at all. It's just not my strong suit, and that's okay. It is fine for me to not be that spatially aware. It's also why I trip over things all the time. But like trying to like picture how things go together in my head, I find very frustrating. Anyway, so I super admire designers who can create really complex, amazing things, because my brain just does not do that thing. Anyway, so basically what I made with this hat, as you can see, it's right side in and out. I basically made a big long tube. I used the entire 100 grams. This was a blend of Aran and bamboo, which is kind of given a little bit of a drapey thing, so I am curious what will happen if I use an Aran that's a bit fluffier and doesn't have that like sheen and smoothness of bamboo. But like I said, I had like a kilo of this stuff laying around that I couldn't do really anything else with unless I wanted to make a garment out of it, which I don't know, I guess I could have, but I'm always really hesitant to make garments out of bamboo because of the potential stretch factor, especially the way that I treat my garments, which, Anyway, so as you can see, I basically just made a big long tube. I think it was like 110-ish rounds when I got to the last bit of yarn that I needed to cast off. And then you like suck one side up into the other one, and then you cinch both ends of the tube closed and like weave in your ends. I have left a little bit of tail in here. As you can see, I did weave in ends. Well, I don't know if you can see that. I did weave in ends, but I left a little bit of a tail here because I have some seriously wicked pom-poms that I bought at Waltham Abbey Wool Show last January before everything, and I don't know where I put them. I bought them for a different project that I started and ripped out like 4 or 5 times because I couldn't settle on colors because I'm ridiculous. But I bought 2 pom-poms, one that was specifically for that project, and then I bought another one just because I thought that it was excellent, and I'm pretty sure, anyway, I'm not going to say who I think I bought them from because I don't want to be like wrong when I eventually find them. I'm pretty sure they're in a stack of stuff over there in that direction. But I think I'm going to pull those out, and I'm pretty sure that I bought one that was like quite a big fat pom-pom, and I was like, I'm gonna totally use this for something, so I need to pull those out because I feel like this hat could be excellently served by a big fat pom-pom. A few years also, you can fold this. I mean, I know you all know how hats work. I was explaining this to my wife, who was like, yeah, when I was like, and you could fold it and you could wear it like this if you didn't want, a big slouchy thing in the back, and she was like, yeah, that is how hats work. So anyway, I think that I am going to try and find that big pom-pom. I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, I made a hat. I want to say it was with a yarn called Debbie Bliss Paloma, and it was a super chunky, I think maybe it was just 100% alpaca. Let me actually look this up. Okay, so I thought that this yarn went out I thought that it was discontinued a long time ago, but I was able to find it online pretty easily, so I guess it wasn't. So it was called, was it Debbie Bliss Paloma? Yes, it was. Okay, so it's 50% alpaca, 30% wool, and then some acrylic and viscose. And then like it's a chainette ply, which if you don't know what a chain is, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe just like go look up chainette yarn because I'm going to be bad at explaining it. But chainette yarns, they're more expensive to spin because they're more complicated, but they can be good for fibers like for alpaca and stuff, because the interlockingness of the chainette means that it won't like pill as much and it won't fly away as much. Anyway, so I made a hat out of this Debbie Bliss Paloma, and it was like roughly this size-ish, and it was a striped one. I used a few different colors. I can't see any of those colors listed here, so maybe it was the colors that got discontinued. I don't know. And I put 2 big pom-poms on that one. Was it 2? Yeah, I think it was 2. So 2 big pom-poms on that one. And I really love the hat, but it was like too warm. It may have been fine if I was living where I grew up in Chicago, but for living in Southeast England, it was too warm. I mean, I'd still wear it anyway because I'm a knitter and I'm going to wear my knits damned if I don't. I said that in a strange way. But it was kind of too warm. I would wear it anyway, which was fine. But then it started to like stretch and get bigger, I think because of the alpaca maybe. I don't know. I remember it being a slightly different fiber content before, so maybe that's what's changed. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Debbie Bliss yarns. Anyway, but my point is that the weight of the pom-poms, because I made the pom-poms out of the Debbie Bliss Paloma, so it was like using super chunky yarn to make pom-poms on a super chunky hat, and the weight kind of dragged it down and stretched out the stitches and stuff. I don't actually know what the heck happened to that hat. It was still a really good hat, even if it was a bit warm for just like wearing. I have no idea. Thinking about it, no idea what happened to that hat. The only thing I can think is that I probably gave it to a friend who probably said that they really liked it, because I've been known to do that before, because I don't like making things twice. So if I had a friend who was like, oh my god, I love that, will you make me one? I was probably like, you can have this one. I don't want to make another one. Anyway, so I'm really happy with this hat. I'm happy with how it turned out. I think it looks good. I'm really enjoying the knitting machine, because this, from cast on to weaving in ends was, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. And that's cool. Like, that's wild to me. I'm very excited to do that with some more, because I dyed up a whole bunch of this yarn, and I think that it works well, for a hat. I think that it's, not too hot, not too cold. The Goldilocks of hats, maybe? Anyway, so I have a bunch more of these skeins that I will probably knock up into hats for people who want them. Now, I do have some friends who have requested hats, so I would probably make hats for them, and I'm not usually somebody who knits for people because it takes me forever, but if I can knock out something on 30 minutes, I can commit to that. I can commit to knocking out a hat in 30 minutes for a friend. That's a thing that I can do. I mean, obviously, plus the time to dye the yarn, but like, whatever, it's a thing, whatever. Anyway, so I'm definitely really liking the AliExpress knitting machine, and I'm sort of starting to think about ideas about how it could potentially be used. I am going to try it with some other yarn and stuff, but I am really happy how this one turned out. I've yammered at you for 10 minutes about this hat, so sorry. I hope you like hat content. Hope you're like really into like super simple super simple hats. The only thing I wish is that I was talking about circular sock machines the other day, and with, I don't know, all the ones that I've seen, whether they be 3D printed or, made out of the metal, however the heck they do that. I'm not a blacksmith. It's probably not the word for it. But regardless, there's usually like attachments. So there's, like, most of them I've seen have the option of adding a ribber attachment to make ribbing. Obviously, that was ridiculous of me to even explain it. So it makes ribbing. I think that it would be cool if there was something similar for the larger knitting machines, because I really like a ribbed hat. I find that it stays on my head better, like it feels toastier, it's nicer. I would love that. That would be awesome. I'm not a mechanically minded person. Like I said, bad spatial awareness. Being an engineer or an inventor was never going to be my life path. So I'm not the kind of person to like figure out like a way to do it without some sort of attachment. But and I was looking up, people have done like Fair Isle on the knitting machine, so I think that's gonna be my next thing. I was tempted to today. The only thing that stopped me was like, and you'd have a tendency to go to go straight from I'm learning how to use this thing to I'm gonna attempt this like advanced level of thing and then get really frustrated when it doesn't work out because I haven't like learned enough of the basics yet. So I tried to avoid that today and just made a hat instead of being like, I'm gonna go all out and make a Fair Isle hat. Like, no, self, stop it. Calm down. You don't need to do that. But I did look up some stuff today, and I think I might try that. Sorry that this is now apparently knitting machine content only. I'm kidding. I did do a whole ball of yarn on my blanket yesterday, so maybe I'll show you that tomorrow. I'm gonna do some baking tomorrow. When I was at the store yesterday, I didn't buy flour because I was like, I've got tons of flour at home. I definitely don't need flour. And then I got home and I was making those spritz cookies yesterday and I had like barely enough flour. Like when I added that last little bit of, I said to add like a little bit extra flour. Yeah, that like tapped me out for flour. I have a big bag of flour, but it's self-raising flour, and then I've got some bread flour, which you don't want to use for cookies. So I'm gonna have to get some regular flour if I want to do any more baking where that's concerned. In the meantime, I'm gonna leave it there because we have a stream in a few hours, and I still have to have dinner and perhaps wrap a few gifts, as they are currently sitting on the floor in a pile of packaging and not wrapped. And yeah, anyway, so I'm gonna leave it there, and I will see you all tomorrow.